My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we have a super special podcast. So super excited to bring my husband, Tony, onto the podcast. Say hi.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be awesome, right?
Yeah, we're super excited to co-host and have some of these podcasts here together because I really think having a male perspective is going to be helpful. Plus, he's my husband, so, I'm a little partial to him. But today we're going to just hit you hot and heavy. We're just going to get after it here today. So today we want to talk about why most marriages fail and how having your health goals can actually save your marriage. So I know this is super bold. I know this is like coming at you swinging, but we're seeing so much devastation when it comes to just our friends, just acquaintances, people just on the internet. And it's just so interesting how wrapped up you get, like thinking, oh my gosh, they had it all together. What happened? And so today we want to really dig into why do most marriages fail? And, not to sit here and say we've got the perfect marriage, but we've figured some things out along the way that we know can help other couples should they choose to listen. Is that fair?
Oh, yes, 100%. I mean, we're not perfect by any means, but we've, been business partners for 17 years.
Yes.
So we've seen it all almost, and understand that there's dynamics that can pull you together. There's dynamics that can push you apart. So we're going to hit on a couple topics that I think are pretty key and things that we've utilized, and then obviously we'll talk about some things that maybe you haven't thought about.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, this is really going to speak to a lot of our couples who are maybe in business together, or both of you are strong performers. You get after life. And this is really going to hit to those people who are going, you know what, my marriage isn't terrible, but it could be better. And if it were fair to say that, I mean, we could say probably a good 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe it hasn't been quite that amount of time, but our marriage wasn't awesome. And we sought out additional training. We knew that something wasn't quite right. And it wasn't necessarily that the marriage was failing, but there was a lot of stress, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously with stress can cause problems that are really maybe exaggerates or amplifies things that are not perfect, or things that are not incongruency. And when you have that stress, everything else may get amplified. And when you have, and if you're not on the same page, and I think that's where we were at, from a standpoint, and you're not on the same page and you have a lot of stress,
yep,
it can cause a lot of other problems. Communication can be a big issue. It's one of those things where if the communication's not there, if you're not on the same page and you have stress, it's going to cause other problems within your marriage.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what we're going to do and where we're going to go with this podcast is we want to help give you, hey, here's some of the things that we did. Again, we don't have it perfect and all figured out, but there's some key things that we did when we realized things were off, when things were not quite, you couldn't blame it on your marriage, but you could say times were stressful. You could say business was stressful. There's a little pandemic, having small kids, there was just a lot of different moving parts, but the two of us felt this man, what is not aligned, what is not working together. And we really started to better understand ourselves, and we started to understand what we each wanted in life, which then brought us closer together. And so the first and foremost, and one of the biggest things that rips couples apart, and we've watched this just again with friends and acquaintances, and certainly watching clients over 17 years of intimately working with people. I know Tony can share stories of saving marriages from just simply working out and training couples. But one of the biggest things that we see is the communication. So we've witnessed a lot of couples just fly by the seat of their pants. Or what would you say that you see, from a communication standpoint, like where's the disconnect? Is it all the guy's fault? That's what I think.
Well, some of us guys are not equipped to communicate well. Just like anything, it takes practice, discipline, and work, right? So, if you're having some of those issues, because men and women do communicate in a different pattern. And so you got to understand some of the patterns that your spouse communicates in and what their wants and needs are. Communication from a male standpoint is and can be one of the problems, and identifying that and making changes to be a better communicator is important. And, with that said, with communication, I think going back a little bit is really taking care of yourself as well, because I'm going to correlate this. If just like taking care of yourself, it's a discipline component. And when you have discipline, it rolls over in other areas. So what I'm saying with that is being disciplined enough to have the conversation, or being disciplined enough to communicate better. So I'm kind of correlating these things back to the health and wellness aspect, because that's how it's helped me. And having those skill sets and developing those skill sets rolls over in other areas of your life.
Yes. And so what do you recommend for guys? Because I don't know, I feel like women over communicate, or maybe that's just a lot of my personality, but what do you find that is most helpful, or what helps you when in our style of communication?
Just understanding where you're coming from, seeing it from your perspective, and your really your lens. We've done a lot of work from that standpoint, understanding the other person's point of view, and that's okay to have some conflict and some obviously different points of view, but working through those points of view is always a crucial component, and being on the same page. And that's where you can go back and say, okay, I know we want the same outcome. Mm-hmm. So just because you're seeing it from this perspective and I'm seeing it from this perspective doesn't mean we can't come together.
And it's so many times too, I think, with women, we are always thinking about our kids, and kids are always on our mind. And it's not that our husbands don't think about the kids, but there's just this nurturing piece of women that we're always constantly running in our head. And I think one of the best things that we've done is not only did we do this for business, but it's like having that weekly huddle of here's what's on the calendar, here's what's coming up. There's really no surprises, who's picking up who. It's not all left on one person's. And I think the other thing that's been really helpful for us is being very flexible, where communication styles are different. You say things a little bit differently than I say things. You mean things differently than I do. But we've done a really good job of like, okay, that's just how his style is. It's not necessarily right nor wrong. But I think that weekly huddle of understanding, okay, what's going on? Because with us, we've got a whole different dynamic. Not only are we business partners, we are lovers, we are mom and dad to our kiddos. And, there's just a lot of different hats that we wear. But what would you say has been some of the best things that we've done to help stay on the same page, stay in constant communication? Yeah,
you hit it exactly. Is with the huddles are one, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a weekly component. But if you want to really peel it back even further, it's understanding where we're going. Yep. So goal setting in general is so crucial for spouses, individuals, and even families to dive into, because what I've seen coaching men and helping men is when I first start with them, they are kind of stuck in a cycle, a minutia of wash, rinse, repeat, because they're worried about obviously income, things of that nature, taking care of the family, doing the man things, right? We got to go out and kill the animals and bring it home and yada, yada, yada. But what I'm saying there is, they get stuck in these cycles and they don't set goals or have expectations. So we get stuck in this trap and we show up every day, wash, rinse, repeat. And it's like Groundhog Day.
Every day. And women do the same thing too. And so where men have this, provider, or I think women do too. And maybe we just wear different hats, or maybe we are wearing similar hats, because there's a lot of different women that I talk to and a lot of different styles and preferences, but goals are essential. I have to have goals. Tony has to have goals. And this is one thing that we really encourage everyone listening is you've got to take time to write down what it is that you actually want to achieve in life. And you have to do this personally, so you know what you want, because you're a person, you're an individual. Just because Tony has certain goals doesn't mean, I have to have identical goals, but we need to know what direction we are going, just like Tony said. And it's important then to come together as couples, as in our example, business partners, and then also as a family, really understanding where we want to go. It was so funny. I was talking to our daughter and she was like, we need to go back to that beach, that. And I'm like, which one, babe? But she was specifically talking about a really fun vacation that we took right before school. And she's like, I really need that ocean view. I'm like, you and me both, babe. But it's cool because we've exposed our kids to certain experiences that are very, very important to both Tony and I. And it's something that we're teaching them every step of the way of, hey, here's what you want. This is what you desire. And this is what you go after. And you plan to have that type of vacation. And so the most important thing that we can talk about is know what your North Star is. Where are you going? Because it is going to be Groundhog's Day if we have no goals, we have no desires, we have no wants. And it's got to start with taking care of yourself. I mean, wouldn't you agree that that's like
that is a foundational component for everyone. Every relationship should have a foundation of you are your number one asset. You need to have your health and wellness in check. Because what will happen, and I've seen this happen, is if you stop taking care of yourself properly, you start losing motivation. Your desire for your partner may not be there anymore, because there is a component of a relationship that you have to have attraction. There's physical attraction, and that is looks. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can't get around it. If you let yourself go, your spouse is probably not going to look at you the same way. I don't care if they're lying to you if they're telling you something different. Because taking care of yourself and having that foundation in check rolls over in different areas of your life. You're going to be more disciplined in different areas. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to communicate different with your spouse, with your children. And ultimately, you're going to be a better person, better leader, all because the foundational components taken care of.
Yeah. And that's, we cannot reiterate, taking care of yourself is a foundational piece that everyone should really embody, and use this as a wake up call. If you've been kind of struggling, not really taking care of yourself, you start with the small steps. But what Tony said there was, yes, there's the physical attraction, but let's also talk about what you're giving off. If I don't feel good in my own skin, I don't want to be intimate. I don't want to, be touched or loved. And that's not a good thing either. And so this is where when women feel really good in their own skin, men too, it's amazing the connection that you have and the spark that you have that you should have. And so so it's really important for us. And I mean, I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had with women who say, I don't even want to have sex with the lights on. And it's blown my mind, but those are real feelings. And I have to bring that up because it wasn't just one conversation, two conversations. This has been multiple conversations over just years. And so we want to start with really taking care of ourselves. Having goals around your health are only going to help your marriage, because we've seen clients in the gym when they're working out and taking care of themselves. It's amazing, the relationship. Or, hey, babe, did you get your workout in? Those are important things to not harp on your spouse, but it's, hey, I want to support you. Did you get that workout in? You know, Tony will ask me, how was your workout? And I'm like, it's freaking great. What do you want?
It was great, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he always asks me, but I always know too. And and it's a good thing because he cares. And that's really what that statement is about. Now, obviously I can take it whatever direction the wind is blowing that day, but which that's my choice, correct?
Yeah, we all have responses, and how we respond is important. Yeah, with having the foundational components, again, allow you to show up in a different way, and allow you to perform at a higher level, and allow you to have clarity. When you do have stressful situations appear, and you have the foundation in check, you have that confidence, you're able to maneuver through the stressful situations much more easily, simple, and you're going to respond to those stressful situations better, even with your children, right? You don't want to be snippy with your children and allow what you have going on internally roll over onto your children, because what they will do is they will pick that up and they will start mimicking your actions outside of the house, how they respond to their siblings, and they will carry that with them. So, these components roll over in every aspect again. So just be aware and be careful and understand that if you have the foundation, it will impact everywhere across the board.
Yeah. And so to kind of pull this all together, one of the most important things that Tony and I talk to couples and just our clients individually, but then they take it to their partner or spouse, is knowing what you want. Hands down, at the end of the day, yes, we need to communicate. Yes, we need to have goals. But for so many men and women, when we start talking to them about their health, it's amazing where this conversation goes to all different areas of their life. But so many people are unclear about what they actually want in life, what they desire, what they need. I remember the path was like perfectly laid out to me. You finish high school, you go straight into college, you meet the guy, you get married, you have kids, and that was it. And I remember post having our kids, I kind of just sat there and I was like, shit, this is it? Like this is it? And I was very unsatisfied. I was like, this is not all that I'm meant to do in this world. And it's such a disservice when we follow the quote unquote path. And this is why we're so adamant with our kids that, hey, the path can go in a multitude of directions. And we talk that language. But what do you want? Why is this so important for couples to know this stuff?
It's interesting you say all that, because it's the law of the lid, right? They put you in a box, and we're not meant to be in a box. We're meant to go out and produce, and go out and continue to provide a value to this world, so we can impact so many other people. But being very, very clear and understanding of what that means to you. So you have to do some work, and sometimes if you've not taken the time as a couple to sit down, get the goals hammered out, design exactly what you want, what does that look like, and your specific standards of what you're going to live by, I would recommend trying that. Again, you want to probably take a half day and get into an environment that's going to be inspiring and really work on yourself. It's a self-reflection, and it's okay if some of the things that come up are going to challenge you, and it may force you to start showing up in a different light and in a different way. It's really self-reflection and being able to take that time to do that with your spouse and yourself is so important.
Yep. And this is where, you can save a marriage by simply getting clear on what you want, communicating, understanding, hey, this is what's important to Tony. This is what's important to Arin. This is how we want to run our household. I mean, how many times have couples even talked about, how are we going to parent our kids? And, then you get in the moment, right? And it's like, well, that didn't go exactly. But you're flexible too, and you're learning and you're growing every step of this way. But your marriage doesn't have to suck. Your marriage doesn't have to be awful. It's not going to be roses 100% of the time. But when you honor and know the direction that you're both going, you value yourself, you take care of yourself. These are all the critical pieces to having a healthy marriage. If I'm not good in my own skin, I'm not going to be good for Tony. And that's a reflection for most couples when they are in chaos or they are incongruent or feeling resistance. It is a direct reflection of what the other person is feeling internally, and they don't even understand it.
Yeah, it's internal representation of how you're feeling about yourself at that moment in time. And ways to get around that is communication, understanding what you want, making the foundation your health, because you get so much clarity. With the clarity and energy and self-worth, you will gain a totally different perspective of how you view yourself internally, which will help with your external view of yourself as well.
100%. So I hope this podcast has been helpful and been timely for you to listen. And we encourage you to share this with other couples because it's really important. We're on a huge mission. We want to help more men and women truly take care of themselves, but then also live really awesome lives. There shouldn't be such a high divorce rate. There shouldn't be so many unhappy marriages. You don't have to just exist. And I know you're probably saying, well, cool, Arin, you're not in my house, right? And I'm not, but it's going to start with you. You are your number one asset, as Tony said earlier. And it's going to take you getting a little uncomfortable to truly propel yourself forward in this life.
Yeah. The cool part with the getting uncomfortable, it's a lot easier on the other side.
Yes. So let us know what you thought of this podcast, and we look forward to having more. So let's get it. Let's get happy marriages going, and it's going to start with taking care of you.